Not to beat a dead horse, the deadest of them all. The biggest conspiracy of them all. The most inside of all inside jobs. No, I'm not talking about Inside Man. I'm talking about September 11th, 2001, the reigning champion of false flags. I'll spare you the common knowledge. Most people already know the basics. If anyone still believes the official story, they're either programmed beyond reason or in complete denial. The thermite-controlled demolitions, terrorists with magically intact passports, a cruise missile that might have hit the Pentagon instead of an airliner. I could go on for days, but instead, I'll focus on the bizarre nature behind it all. After 9/11, something awoke inside me. Not a fear of people from the Middle East, but a fear of my own government. Not necessarily the elected officials, but the shadowy figures behind the scenes, those with eyes wide shut parties, the ones financing almost everything in our known world. It's truly weird when you follow the trail of money and control, discovering that almost everything we ingest or digest, from food to film, leads back to a singular group of people. Are Jewish people all evil? No, of course not. Are people with Jewish ancestry in control of much of the West? Yes, unbelievably so. So, what does this have to do with 9/11? And am I anti-Semitic? Of course not. But really, what does the word anti-Semitic even mean? These days, simply posing a question or pointing out something remotely subjective gets you branded with that label. It's as if an entire group of people has been given a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's like Hitler's evil plan backfired, elevating his most hated group into the most powerful and influential people in history. I'm just a simple man, trying to make sense of the world, trying to connect the dots as if to better understand The Shining or Eyes Wide Shut. And the main reason I've always doubted the official 9/11 story isn't just the bizarre physical evidence and impossibilities. It's the fact that the man who owned the buildings, a Jewish man, was the luckiest man alive. I'm referring to information about the owner of the WTC supposedly taking out unusually large insurance policies on the buildings. Granted, the WTC had been hit before, so that's not too surprising. But the timing of it? Imagine a wife taking out $1 million life insurance policy a week before her husband's untimely murder. That was 9/11, scaled to billions. If this is true, why would he or they have orchestrated the largest conspiracy in human history outside of the moon landing? They probably want you to focus on the vice president, Mr. Cheney. But I think he's just a distraction. A grumpy old man who accidentally shoots his friends during hunting accidents. What I'm more concerned about is Israel. A lot of people don't realize our greatest ally attacked one of our vessels, the USS Liberty. I won't go into it here, but they knew it was American and didn't care. Not to mention their undisclosed nuclear arsenal or the fact they allegedly spy on the US more than any other country in the world. I'd be looking at them more than Cheney or Bush, who were, if anything, unwilling or unknowing participants in this bizarre political false flag stunt. The primary purpose? Beyond making the WTC owner filthy rich, it was to establish a permanent American presence in the Middle East, ensuring Zionist interests were protected for a century. And so far, it's worked. Maybe not as well as they'd hoped, but for over 20 years, even questioning Israel or its actions can lead to censorship, banning, or worse. The average person says, our government couldn't pull something like this off. They're probably right. It likely wasn't our government. I'd wager our government wasn't involved much at all. They were likely suckered into it, just like everyone else. And those who secretly questioned it were likely too afraid to speak out. You have to understand, for those of us who lived it, the world was a strange place. The propaganda machine was drumming so hard it would have made the largest Nazi propagandists bow down in respect. We called French fries freedom fries, cancelled the Dixie Chicks, and suspected the local Hispanic man of being a terrorist for even vaguely resembling someone from the Middle East. It was a strange time. America went to war like Starship Troopers. The only good bug is a dead bug. That was the atmosphere.
Everyone's doing their part. Are you? The war effort needs your effort. At work, at home, in your community.
Although I always suspected foul play, like many others, I got caught up in internet documentaries. From Zeitgeist to Alex Jones, I was suspicious. But I don't recall them mentioning Israeli connections, such as the dancing Israelis seemingly celebrating on a bridge on the day of the attacks, or the fact they were released and never seen again. Never mind the strange occurrences of workers potentially linked to Mossad working in the buildings shortly before the attacks. One starts to connect the dots. What truly terrifies me is this. Let's assume for a moment that we've been correct this whole time. What would they be willing to do next? Like in the comedy Team America World Police, a new 9/11 times 100.
Massive worldwide attack.
From what intelligence has gathered, it would be 9/11 times 100.
9/11 times 100. Jesus, that's...
Yes, 91,100.
Would they go full sum of all fears and detonate a nuke? Blame it on Russia or the boogeymen in the Middle East again? Honestly, they'd probably target the conservative white man, the most hated group by the elites these days. Because instead of blindly supporting them like they'd 20 years ago, many are waking up. And it's not just them, it's everyone. This pressure will eventually cause the largest false flag in human history. One day our world won't resemble Star Trek: The Next Generation, but something more akin to the Hunger Games.